Hey, sorry about that, you guys. One thing is YouTube only allows like 15 minutes per video. Okay. And so my nephew started going to school here. And Kevin and I were getting into it. It seemed like we were fighting like cats and dogs. Because that's just what happens whenever your sister changes. And you don't even know about it. When your sister really starts walking a Christian life and you put it together in a house with someone who's very worldly. And I find it does a lot to a guy's ego when he has to go back and live at home. But getting to my point, weird things started happening at church in March. I didn't understand it. Now, at first I was weak because of all the stuff that I had been into with my ex-boyfriend and all the things that he brought on me, and they were praying for me, and I had to they helped me break off those things, and I had to grow from those things. Because he was like a spiritual horse leech, literally. And so the church is helping me grow, as my therapist is too, because I go to Christian therapy. And I don't know, weird things just started happening. And especially in praise and worship. That's what was so weird. It's almost like they had me pegged out. I mean, don't get me wrong, the pastor's wife and I got along very well. I mean, I know she loved me, and I know she cared about me. But I really felt like she was the only one who really did. I mean, I would even go and talk to her about that, and at first they were all supportive of me, but whenever I tried to get in closer, it's like they just pushed me away. No matter how close I tried to get in, no matter who I tried to talk to, it's like they all had this click thing going on. Like, oh, it's okay for you to come so close, but we won't let you in any farther. That's a very hurtful feeling because I've had to deal with that a lot in my life when it comes to church. But, okay, try not to jump the gun. And the thing that really got my attention was one night when I went to church there. And during the worship service, I was really in the Spirit. I felt God. I felt the Spirit rejoicing and just filling me up. And then I had a friend during worship who people started laying hands on and praying for, because it says in the Bible, the laying on of hands, praying for one another, for those who aren't familiar with it. And I started laying my hands on somebody who was laying hands on my friend that I wanted to help pray for. And this person, slowly moves away from me to where it was like broke connection. And then I noticed the person that was standing beside me was also laying hands on her. So I just, started laying my hand on her shoulder to touch and, just closed my eyes and started praying. And she turns to me, takes my hand off of her shoulder, and shakes her head like this, saying no. She didn't want me to pray for that person. And being a Christian, that was a real blow to my heart. I remember trying not to get down, trying not to feel down when that happened, but I couldn't. I went and sat down on the bench, and I tried so hard not to cry. But yeah, the tears just started falling down. They started pouring. I had to leave. Now, my mom and I were going to meet up that night to go shopping together at the grocery store, because I don't like her to go shopping by herself when she has so much stuff, because I feel guilty when I could help her. And I couldn't even understand, God, why? Why are these things happening? Why do I feel like I'm always the one that's targeted out? Because there are other weird little things that had happened before that had made me feel set apart from them. And I went out to my car and I was just crying all over myself. and texted my mom, and mom wanted to know what happened. I told her I didn't really want to talk about it, and it was a mess. I was a mess. Absolute mess. I was already ready to quit going to church. That's how bad it was. Not quit being a Christian, don't mistranslate, but not going to church. And so I missed a service. It was a Sunday service, I think. And it just didn't feel right. Something in my spirit didn't feel right, but at the same time I had so much hurt and pain that I didn't care. And whenever somebody tried to tell me I was wrong, I would get angry and I would lash out. And, I went and talked to Angie about it because I went and talked to my therapist about it. My therapist wanted me to go talk to Angie. And I did, and it helped. But then it's like 3 services after that, I tried to get in my praise and worship again, and somebody literally moved me. Took me around the waist and put me where they wanted me to worship at, in what spot. That was the last night I went there. And I talked to my mom about it. She's like, I don't even understand it either. I don't get it. And I didn't get it. And after that, I didn't want to go to church there. And the one Wednesday, my nephew goes to the church out the road from me that I had grown up, I'd been in and out of through high school. And I felt God whisper in my spirit say, go out there. Just go see. And even before I'd went, a few weeks before that, I'd read the scripture in the Bible in Matthew where it talks about the man and their talents being given out. And I was like, God, I want to use my talent. Don't let my talent dry up. I don't want to bury my talent in the ground and not let it be used. Be careful what you pray for, because it'll come when you least expect it. But I found in those times when I went out to that church, they didn't have a piano player. The pastor is a sweet, nice man, but I could tell he felt a little overwhelmed and a little lost on what to preach to these youth. And they have a big youth. And part of why I want to be a teacher is I want to work with the teenagers and the young kids and the college kids to be a light to them, to be a good influence in such a dark and fallen world. And I want to make a difference because you have more time with those kids than their parents do. And I just love people. And I wanted to work with teens and work in the church somehow. And God's just been using me so much. So my point of telling you all that is when it seems like God is just turning your world upside down and shaking it like a snow globe, and there's just thousands of pieces going everywhere, and you don't even know what is going to happen, where it's going to land. That's God. No, I'm not saying God causes bad things to happen, but he allows some. It's like I thought one of the worst things was losing my job and being so cramped in this house where I feel like everything is changing all at once. And my church just felt like it was just pushing me out, like they didn't want me there, and I didn't understand it. But if those things hadn't happened, God wouldn't be setting me up for where I am now. God knew my dreams and he knew my purpose and what he put in my heart. But he had to take me through those places and change those things in my life so that he could prepare me for those. I thank God for my nephew living with me, because I used to have this friend who would have to babysit her nephew all the time, and deep down I would envy her. Because she wasn't always the best influence, but I would envy her because I'm thinking, you know, I want to have that much time with my nephew. Because right now I feel like I'm the only godly influence he has. To be brutally honest, that's how I feel, and that's true. I want to have more of an influence on his life. I want to teach him things. Because growing up, I would think, I don't want to have a kid right now. But I would think when I would be dating somebody what things I wanted to teach my kid. How I wanted to handle certain situations, what I would say. What kind of parent I would be. What things are really important to teach a kid. And watching over my nephew, I get to live that. I get to live that now. I get to be a closer influence to my brother and him. And that church that I was telling you about that's just out the road, they wanted me to start playing piano. That's using a talent. And I have. Slowly at first, because it's been a while since I've really played piano. Once I get the hang of it again, I'll be able to play really well, praise God. But I get to watch him every day. I get to help him on his homework every day. I get to have the most time with him. He's 11, gonna be 12. Wow. Sorry, you guys. And he wants to go to church. He goes to church. I don't know how that happened, but I'm thankful for it. And I ask God sometimes, how did I learn the things that I have? How did I end up being such a good aunt? Only thing I can think of is God, what He taught me with my life. And, I think about the things that I wish my parents had told me growing up that they weren't really close enough with me to tell me. Remember the most useful advice, good advice, that my dad gave me when I was a young teenager was, you don't want to be with a guy who will have you out all night but not call you in the morning to see how you're doing. That really shaped me. And I always wanted to be that cool aunt that they can come to me about anything. But being around Cody, in his situation, because both his parents have went through marriages and have boyfriends or girlfriends, and it's kind of an unstable life, and I can see now how God is using this to prepare me. Because when you're a youth pastor, or work with youth, or work with young teenagers in school, you don't know what their home life is. I mean, they may cut up in class, or cause trouble, or not talk. Don't judge them by that. Because I've seen that your home situation, you can go to school and hide it. But your attitude and how you are then really shapes things. And if I wasn't allowed to go through this and have a close influence on my nephew, I wouldn't understand these things as a teacher. I wouldn't be able to be the teacher that I can be. Okay, maybe 3 parts, sorry. I'll figure this out.